Hello, world. Look at me. Look at me. Isn't this great? Welcome to the new Ken Simmons Show. I've got a show named after me, Ken Simmons. But more about that a little later. I go through my computer a lot, and I've got a lot to say to you in the next half hour that we're together. This is going to be a weekly show if my health is up to it and everything works out okay. And I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to this. I'm a little nervous because I normally don't work in a studio. I work with people. And as you can see, there's no people here. There's only me. So I'm going to go over to my desk in a minute. And I'm just kind of sit down like Arthur Godfrey used to do maybe and just talk for this half hour. I have no guests, but I have a lot to tell you. And a lot of it, to me, is very important. And I think you'll find it important too. You know, like I said, I was going on the computer and I saw a little story there about a lawyer going by in his expensive limousine, and he saw a couple of guys out in the field eating grass. So he told the driver to stop and he got out and he said, "What are you guys doing?" He says, "Well, we don't have enough money to buy food." And he says, "Oh, good Lord." He said, "Well, get in my car." He said, "Well, I have a wife and 2 kids." "Bring them, get them in, put them in the limo." And he said, "Well, I have a friend here too, and he has a wife and 6 kids." "Well, let's pile them in. It's not going to be easy piling them all in, even in this limo, but let's pile them in." So they all get in, and as they're driving along, one of the gentlemen that was eating grass says, "I can't believe how kind you are. Thank you so very much. This is so, so great." He said, "It's all right, don't worry about it. The grass at my house is 2 feet tall." With that hilarious comment, I'll see you over at my desk. Don't go away. Well, we're back, and I say this a lot, but I'm so happy. I'm probably at my happiest when I'm with you, because without you, there would be no show. It's just as simple as that. All right, I told you that during the monologue that I wanted to do, I just want to have a talk with you, like maybe Arthur Godfrey used to do, because I consider you all friends. And those of you that watch the show with any regularity, we're going to have guests on. So I send out a plea to you right now. Please, please take notice. I want to talk to people in Carver, Plimpton, and Halifax, friends, neighbors, somebody that has an interesting story to tell. A story that would be of public interest. It can be sad, it can be happy, it can be entertaining, it can be educational, it can be all kinds of things. I don't care. I just want you to come in and sit down beside me and we'll just chat like we would over a cup of coffee. Just forget all the lights around you and the camera. I know that there's a certain amount of anxiety that goes into going on television. I feel that myself. And I've been doing this for nigh on to 40 years. But every time when I show up at the studio, my stomach is churning until the camera turns on, and then something happens, something magic. I feel like when I'm looking in the camera, I'm looking right into your eyes. So that's the way I feel. But if you come in here and tell your story, you'll be looking at me. You'll be glancing at the camera from time to time, of course. But please don't be nervous about it. It's a lot of fun. And the people here, the staff here, are a delight to work with. So I need somebody, because I don't know a lot of people. I'm kind of new down here. I'm a Randolph boy. And I want... anybody in the Second World War, anybody in the Korean War, anybody in Afghan or Iraq or Iran or wherever. let me know. Nurses, carpenters that have an interesting story to tell, a lawyer that would have an interest. By the way, do you know what they call a bad lawyer? Senator. Oh, enough of that. I'm not going to do that anymore. Lawyers get a bad rap. They shouldn't. Anyway, I send that plea out to you, and I'm going to depend on you. And when you find somebody or you have somebody, call this phone number, 508-866-1019, and tell them you want to go on the Ken Simmons Show. And they will then in turn get in touch with me with your number, and I will then get in touch with you. It's a pretty simple process. Sounds kind of complicated the way I put it, but it saves a lot of aggravation. Just phone in. All I need to know when you phone in is the topic. I don't need to know any more than that. So again, I want to tell you that my shows that I've been doing for a long, long time are totally spontaneous. I don't want to know. I have a lot of people say to me, what questions are you going to ask? Give me a list of questions. No, I won't do that because I want my viewers to see what I'm seeing for the first time. I want them to see it also for the first time. It's more fun that way. It's a lot more exciting for me. Sometimes it winds up in a little bit of a fiasco, but we generally get out of it. So I won't say any more about that for now. But if I don't get at least one phone call at my next show, I'm going to say some more about it. Okay, I've got a list of things here, and when we do a show and we're interviewing somebody, or I tell you something, you can trust my credibility because this is not commonly known, but I'm a graduate of Trump University. And if that doesn't make me a credible person, I don't know what does. I've had a lot of people on in the past that would say, you know, don't you rehearse this? Don't you have a script? Don't you have something we can go by? No, nothing. It's totally casual. Because when I first started in public access television, it was in the town of Randolph, and they were going to tear down a building that was historic. It was given by a man by the name of Amasa Stetson for a boys' academy at Randolph. And it was a beautiful building, had huge pillars. It looked like a miniature Parthenon. It was just gorgeous. And a lot of years, a lot of repairs. It was eventually the town hall. They got a new town hall, so they were going to tear this down. And one of my friends got up a drive to restore it. So there was a demolition going on, and at the time I had a serious health problem, but I was out of the hospital, and I said to my wife, I'd like to do something to help. And she said, in her wisdom, God bless her, why don't you go down to the local television station, public access, and see if they'd record it, and you'll be the host. I did that, and they accepted it. They bought it. And I showed up with a clipboard, suit, tie, shirt. I had two cameramen there, a director. His name was Stu Schoenfeld. I'm not afraid to say that because he's a great guy. He's still in the business. And all I had to do was stand at the door and say, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it was, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ken Simmons, and we are going inside in just a minute to show you the demolition that's going on in there. I couldn't get it right. I had the notes here. I couldn't get it right. 6 takes. 6 takes. Finally, one of the cameramen, who's a great guy, said, hold it, hold it, hold it. I'm sick of this. So he comes up to me and he said, what's this? I said, that's my clipboard. For what? I said, it's got all my notes. So he took it and he threw it. I never saw it again. He said, what I want you to do, I want you to be Ken Simmons. I want you to be Ken Simmons. Don't try to be anything else, because you're not good at it. Be Ken Simmons. Let's see if you can be good at that. So I took a deep breath. The cameras came on again, and I became Ken Simmons. I went inside. We took a tour of the old building where I saw my first movie. We took the tour of the building where I played my first basketball game. We took a tour of the building where I had my prom, my senior prom. It was a historic building with a lot of memories for me. That building is now a museum in the center of town, and it has offices. People who want to rent an office in there, they lawyers and that kind of thing. And it's just what he did for that building is just unbelievable. It's so great. So that's how I got my start in public access television. When I said I've been on for like 40 years, I did some commercial work with my job. I remember, as you well know, I was a hairstylist and worked with people like Ava Gabor and Natalie Cole and Beverly Johnson, Naomi Sims and Linda Darnell, and even one time almost with Jackie Kennedy. That never came to happen, but it almost did. Very exciting. So I used to go on, we'd go to towns demonstrating different hairstyles, hair pieces, wigs, wiglets, chignons, whatever. And we'd get on the local talk show, television talk show. In those days, they had a lot of them. And it was in, the one I remember the most is the one in Washington, D.C. They booked me on the show there, and we came on backstage, and she didn't want to see anybody, any of the guests, until they came out in front of the cameras. So that was me. I had some wig with me. We're going to put the wig on her, comb it out, and demonstrate the wig. And in that process, on camera, in the middle of the show, she's sitting there with the wig on. I'm combing it, and all of a sudden she screamed and took the wig off and flung it. And she said, "My God, there's something crawling in there." So now this is on live television. This is not taped. This is live. So I went over, got the wig, and I looked inside it, and she's ruined the product. The people that are watching are not going to want a product that has something crawling in it. So I had to do something real quick. So what I did was, I said, "Oh, yeah, let me see." So I looked at her head, I looked in the wig, and I said, "Wow, you've got something crawling in your head that's contaminated my wig. We'll have to destroy the wig." And she went ballistic on live television. She called me some names, and afterwards she said, "Who do you think you are?" I said, "I had to do something because I'm going to be here all week at Hecht's department store, and they're not going to come in and see a wig that's got something crawling in it." So that's how that wound up. It wound up okay. We were never friends. I never went on her show again, but those are the kind of things that happened. I don't think I've ever told you about the show that I did with Ava Gabor. You're probably not going to believe this because as I reflect on it, it's hard for me to believe. We had 14 models and 14 hairdressers, and Ava Gabor. She had her own personal hairdresser, Joseph Ciliano, an Italian guy with an Italian accent, tall, handsome, good-looking, gregarious, humorous, personality plus. And we lined up at the Copacabana in New York, the Copacabana. And here we are, me and 13 other hairdressers and 14 models, put the wigs on them, comb them out, and they went out on the runway in front of the audience, the big audience, because Ava Gabor was there. And they come back in, take off their gowns, whatever they had on, put a new one on, put a new wig on, new hairstyle. It was bang, 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 bang. I never had such a good time in my life. Being a hairdresser is a lot of fun. All right, I'm going to wind this segment up now. I've got another segment to go, so please don't go away. Make yourself comfortable. And I have something that you should prepare for a little bit, because it's a little serious, something I never do, but this is quite serious. It's near and dear to my heart, and I hope that you get something out of it after we come back. Okay, we're back. I told you this is going to take a serious mood here. I don't mean it to be morbid. It shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. But I've had a problem in my life. And I'm the kind of a guy that laughed his way through life. I always say I've never worked a day in my life because if it wasn't fun, I didn't do it. I happen to have that ability for some reason. I don't know why. When I was very young and graduated high school, my father was a house painter. He was a painting contractor. He had 18 people working for him. And he said, I'm going to teach you how to paint, hang wallpaper, how to do ceilings. And in those days, and I'm not diminishing the painters of today, but in those days, we didn't have rollers, it was brushes. And we didn't have computerized color making. We had to make our own colors. We bought raw sienna and Prussian blue and chrome yellow light and mix our own colors. Not only that, but as a kid, I used to have to mix lead and oil. If you've ever tried to stir a 5-gallon bucket of lead, I mean lead, now they don't use lead paint at all anymore because it's against the law. But it was a lot of work. So that's when he taught me, and I worked for him for a couple of years, and I got pretty good at it. I said, this is just not for me. And I told him that. And he said, all right, it doesn't have to be for you. But at least if you need it, you know what to do. You can make a buck painting somebody's house. And I appreciated that. Thank you, Dad. Very nice. So I became a hairdresser. I went in the service, and I got married. I was married while in the service in the Korean War. She was with me for some of it, my wife. And you know, I'm a very emotional guy. I may not get through a lot of this. To get right to the point, I lost my wife 10 years ago, this July 4th, this coming July 4th. We were married 56 years at the time. And, you know, at that time, I started to write a little poem that I'm going to read to you now. I never finished it because it's hard to finish writing something if you can't see. Tears just came to my eyes. Not that I was impressed with my own writing. It was just the memory. And here's how it goes. I was born the day she became my wife. She jumped right in and showed me the way to a great life. She was my strength, my confidence, my best friend. And then after 56 brief years, it all came to an end. There was no more, hi, hun, how was your day? Or, great job, I wonder what the viewers will say. No, those days are gone, I'm alone. No one to dream with, no one to plan with, no one to eat with, no one to cuddle. And I stopped there. Those of you who have lost a spouse, whether you're a widow or a widower, as I am, it's not the same as losing a father, a mother, a grandfather, a grandmother, an uncle, an aunt. Those are bad. Those are tragic. But losing a spouse, as you well know, something special. When you live with somebody, male and female, I've read things that said, male and female cannot live together. Well, it's been happening for an awful long time. And it seems to work out very, very well. But this is directed at those of you who have lost a spouse. The only thing worse that I can think of is losing a child. That's got to be horrendous. And I'd like to dedicate this to a guy that's been a friend of mine for 75 years. We met when we were 10 years old. We never had a bad word that I can recall because we're so different. I'm a type A. I'm a jerk in a lot of cases. You couldn't goad him into a fight. You could kick him in the shins, and he just wouldn't fight. He was a great man, a great father, a great husband, and he was a milkman, hard worker, retired now. He's about my age, and he lost his wife a couple of years ago. He lives over in East Bridgewater, and his brother lives in Halifax. And his brother knows me, and George, if you see him, get this message to him. And if necessary, I'll get a disc to him. But what I want to do, and he's not doing it, is get him out of the house. He's isolating himself, which is exactly what I did. So that brings me to my point. When you lose a spouse, I lost mine, and I isolated myself. I didn't want to see anybody. After the funeral, all was over, and the kids came over every night and brought me meals and so forth. I issued an order that I didn't want to see him anymore. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't even want to go out. I went out to buy groceries and certain things that you have to go out for, but it was awful. That was 10 years ago. And the grief has not gone away. And I've asked people who've lost spouse 20, 30 years ago, does it get any better? And their answer is no, it doesn't get any better. So what you got to do is cope. And if I can give you one little piece of information that'll help you, I'll be a winner. You've got to get out of the house. You've got to socialize. As hard as it is, you've got friends, you've got family. You've got to go out and see your friends that used to be her friends as well, or his friends as well, depending on whether you're a widow or a widower. You've got to get yourself busy. You've got to do something. This television, this little job that I have, I keep telling the people here, because when I walk in here, they treat me like a king. They're so good to me. And my problem was never mentioned. I cope with that in my own way. This keeps me busy. You could get a little thing at the Walmart maybe, or if you were a former hairdresser, or you had a job, maybe you could get a couple hours work at that. You got to get out. That is so important. I can't tell you how important that is. If you isolate yourself, and I'm afraid of this from my friend, it's going to make you sick. I've heard of people dying of heartbreak. Don't let that happen to you. You're too nice a person. And she or he wouldn't want you to do that. They wouldn't want to think that you're sacrificing yourself for them. Their life is over, unfortunately. Yours is not. You can still contribute. If you're not thinking of yourself, think of your kids. They don't want to see you get sick. They want to see you have a happy life. In my case, I started dating. But you know what I was doing? I was looking for my wife. You're not going to find that. That's not going to happen. But you're going to find somebody else. There's this lady I know. I won't mention her name because she's around. And we went out on a date. We had dinner, and it went okay. And then I saw her. We went for a walk. Make a long story short, she is so funny. She's so innocent, and she's 82 years old. She is so innocent that she says things that are so funny. I'm not going to repeat them here because she just. So okay. So what am I saying to you? She's made my life better. Now, she lost her husband 3 years ago, and she said to me, "My grief isn't as great as yours." So my suspicion is that you ladies can handle things better than we can, us men. And you know, being a hairdresser, I worked around hundreds and thousands of women. And when you're doing their hair, that's kind of intimate. You get buddy-buddy when they come in every week. They tell you their problems. It's the same now. It's the same now. You've got a friend. Maybe he's lost his wife. Or you got a friend. Maybe she's lost her husband. And the two of you could get together. And I'm not talking about marriage or anything like that. All I'm talking about is to sit down and somebody makes you laugh, or somebody makes you smile, or somebody makes you feel like you're worthwhile. That's what I'm talking about. Please, please, don't sit at home and brood. The temptation is great. And I'll be honest with you, I go home some nights and I'm cooking my meal and I'm a terrible cook and I start to cry because I'm going to have to eat alone again. But you know what? I do. I get through it and everything is going to be all right. But you got to treat yourself like you're important because you know what? You are. You are important. All right. I hope you got a little something out of that. And I hope my friend in East Bridgewater, I'm going to go down again, drag him up by the heels if I have to. But next time, I'm going to have a guest. I'm not sure who yet or what topic it'll be. But remember in the beginning I said the first show I did with the VFW, I'm going to have teachers at in kindergarten to sex therapists, doctors, lawyers, dentists, carpenters, plumbers, whatever. We're going to have a good time, you and I. I want your help. Please, if you got a good story, you want to tell it, I'm your boy. Till then, like Red Skelton used to say, and I mean this, I love you, God bless, and goodbye till next time.